Man, y'all already know what type time it is. Scram'N and T presents Scram'N to the Top podcast. Gon' run it up. We out here. 100.
For the people that don't know what you do, tell them a little bit about what you do.
Man, so I'm Lexington through and through. I used to like to say I was born here. I wasn't. I was born in New Jersey, but my mom relocated here when I was 6 months old. So I've been here my whole life. Lexington's all I know. So I came through Lexington City Schools, graduated from Lexington with Joe's daughter, Imani.
Yeah.
One of my best friends growing up.
Imani, man.
Went to Chapel Hill for undergrad, and I taught for 3 years over in Winston. I worked at Central Office in Lexington for a year. I got elected to the City Council back in 2019, and now I'm a real estate agent. I help people obtain a dream of home ownership, and I help people sell their homes. And so it's really been a blessing to serve this community in a number of different capacities over the years, and I'm just happy to be here.
Man, that's dope. We're gonna get into the house buying. We're gonna get into the house market. But what we was discussing, like people living in the box. So with people having this living in the box mentality, like what would you tell them? Like what advice would you give them in order for them to get out that type of mentality? Because I hang around people that's, and I love these, like I love them. It's just like, I want to tell them like, yo, like get out there, but I know how hard it was for me to get out.
Yeah.
So like,
I think being brave is number one, and you got to be confident in yourself. If you get out of the box, you're going to meet a whole different breed of difficulties. You're going to a whole different breed of successes, a whole different breed of everything. But you have to be confident in yourself when you do get out that box in order to make the best of it. And don't be afraid, as I said before, do not be afraid to get advice from people. That really gets you out of the box is advice. Listening to what other people are doing, how they got successful, and use that to create your own pathway to success, wherever you're trying to get to. If you continue to be in the box, you do the same thing and expect different results, and it just don't happen that way.
yeah, because that's what I was doing for, I can't even tell you how many years. It was just like, man.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, man, I ain't getting nowhere. So I might as well just go ahead and do what I used to do.
Yeah.
Like, cause I'm not going nowhere. It's just my surroundings, but I got to a point where it was just me. Like, ain't nobody telling me to stay here or to do this same thing. Like, ain't nobody putting no gun in my hand and say you got to do this just like we do this.
Correct.
So when I got out, it's just like I started meeting new people. It's just
New people always. New people, new ideas, new dreams, new visions. Even when you thought that what you thought was a great thing, then you realize, oh, there's even greater out there, because now you met new people. And I think that's the key: being confident, being brave, and just believing in yourself that you can do whatever it is that you want to do.
You know, I would even venture to say that you almost want to be uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Because it's only in moments that you are uncomfortable where you're truly able to grow.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, don't be afraid to fail, because failure puts you in really good company. That once you fall, you learn how to get back up again. And I think, the biggest thing that I also tell people is be careful who you hang around, and make sure you choose your friends wisely. One of my favorite stories comes from the Bible in the 2nd chapter, Mark, where a lame man who couldn't walk wanted to be healed, and so his friends, it was the faith of his friends that ultimately got him his healing. They took him to Jesus and couldn't get to him because of the crowd, so they cut a hole in the roof and lowered him down. And so, like, your friends can be like standing in the way of your miracle, or they can help facilitate that miracle for you.
True.
And so I think it's really important that you surround yourself with people who are moving in the same direction that you are. I always tell people, like, you never want to be the most successful person in your circle. You always want to have someone that's doing better than you are, so that you can see where you need to be. And that could be people in a number of different industries. That could be, if you're a realtor, that could be a doctor, a lawyer, another business owner. I had a teacher tell me once that if you are good at what you do, you're going to make a lot of money doing it. So it doesn't matter if you're a chef, if you run a cleaning service, if you have your own IT company. If you're good at what you do, you're going to make money doing it. And so I think not being afraid to be uncomfortable is like the best advice that I can give someone who's afraid. Because ultimately, if you need to change, it's because something's going wrong anyway. So why continue to do the same thing over and over again, like you said, and expect a different result? You might as well try something different. What's the worst that can happen?
That's and you're spot on, because that was the first thing that happened to me when I started my company. Man, you're talking about so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Man, it was, every day was very uncomfortable. It's like, man, I wish the pain would stop sometime, or I wish the trouble would end. And it was very uncomfortable. But what you tend to learn how to find ways to help push yourself past that. But the next time when you feel yourself getting comfortable, you gotta find a way to get uncomfortable again. If you don't, you're gonna be just back to where you were. It's levels to it. So each level can get very uncomfortable.
So, well, I want to ask both of you guys, Joe, like, what was the moment that you felt like, I am too comfortable, I gotta break through this?
Oh man, that happens a lot to me. Even though some people may not see it, but internally, I'm like, man, I'm getting too comfortable. And so there's another thing that I have to do in order to get uncomfortable again. And I like to live in that space. When I became city council, it was the idea of being the uncomfortablest thing for me was speaking in public. Because you get in your head, you're uncomfortable because you're already giving other people thoughts in your head about judging you, when all you have to do is be yourself and just be confident, be brave, and trust in you that you're saying the right things and that you're doing the right things and you have a passion for what you do. It's like when Garrett got into real estate, I was like, this man gonna kill it in this real estate business. He gonna kill it. And all of a sudden now you see him almost every day he got a house closed.
Yeah.
He is really putting in work. And I know it's uncomfortable for him.
Yeah.
He's putting you in different positions all the time, different people.
Yeah, every day. And it really is, I remember the day that I decided that I was done teaching. It wasn't for any other reason other than I was too comfortable doing it, and I felt like I wasn't happy anymore. And I always say, when something no longer makes me happy, it's time to move on to the next thing. And at the time that I decided to stop teaching, I was expecting my first daughter. And so it was a terrible time to quit a job. And so, but for me, it was like, this doesn't have a choice but to work, because I have a mouth to feed, I have a mortgage to pay for. And so yeah, I think that once you decide that I have to hustle, I have to get up and go to work every day, just give her somebody that she can be proud of. I can't sit around and wait for something to happen. I have to go out there and make it happen myself. And that's really what it was. She was my biggest motivation in deciding that it was time to get uncomfortable and try a new venture. And
we really got the same thing, don't we?
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I was like, man, I quit my job at the very bad time to quit your job. And I knew my kids, I wanted to be something for them.
Right.
And that goes back to the biggest why.
Right.
And I'm happy this kind of repeated what was in the first, when we was talking from the beginning, man. We got the same story.
Yes.
Almost identical.
It's been a blessing. The relationships that we're able to build, the people who never thought that they'd be able to buy a house. I remember a gentleman, he called me one day and said, man, I don't think I can buy a house. So what's your credit score? And He told me it was 720. I said, man, you could have had a house a long time ago. and but a lot of people don't know that they can do it, and giving them that opportunity. Some people are like, I hate that we have to go see 10 and 12 houses. But no, this is a bonding experience for you and I want you to have what's perfect for you and your family. So if I have to show 50 of them, I will. Until you get what it is that you feel that you need. And so it's really been a blessing. It's been a blessing to service so many people in our community. It's been a blessing to sell houses to so many young black people that may not have thought that they had the capacity to buy a house, who may have been living in the box a long time, and then they step outside of the box and realize that I can have something that's mine. I can do whatever I want to do with this. I can rent it. I can sell it. I have a house for my kids and my family, and it's just been a blessing. It really has.
So how did you get into like real estate? Like, what was your first initial thought? Like, man, I want to get into this.
I actually had a friend. He and I talked, and he was a former teacher of mine, and he had taught, and then he became a licensed realtor, and now he's a business owner. He said, "Yeah, I really think that you'd be good at this job." And I said, "Well, man, I don't know much about houses, so I didn't either. That's why you take the class." and so I took the class, and he introduced me to two of his friends who had a real estate company, or who were in the process of starting a real estate company. And I had lunch with them, and we talked about some things, and they talked about some of the things that they were doing in their lives. I'm like, man, I should be doing that, and that's really where I started. And I started taking the class. I fell in love with the material. I fell in love with the process. I had a really good teacher and trainer, teacher in the classroom and trainer in the field. And yeah, we just kind of took off from there. I will say that anytime you're new to anything, right, people were kind of reluctant at first to trust me. And I had a cousin and another guy who hired me as their realtor not long after I took the class. And I'm forever grateful for those two. They're the first two people that gave me a chance. And from there, it just kind of took off. So it's been a blessing.
Man, that's kind of dope, but it's just like, a lot of people don't really know much about buying a house. They just hear what other people got to say. Like, if it's like my credit score like here,
Right.
I'm just not gonna do it.
Right.
Or it's just like, if this person said the market like this, I'm just not gonna do it.
Right.
They don't really have the right information. So, like, for people like that's really trying to buy a house, like, what are the major targets like you got to hit in order to purchase your first home?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So the first answer is if the credit is shaky, there are some things that you can do to rebuild it. There are certain lenders that are not looking at the entire credit profile, but more so looking at your recent credit history. And so the main thing is making sure that you're paying your bills on time now, and ensuring that you're continuing to build. Trying not to finance things if you don't have to talk to your realtor or your lender first before you decide to go out and make a major purchase, and just kind of rebuild from there. There are certain programs that are available for people who are in a certain income threshold, people who may be within a certain credit profile, and so like what I always tell people is like reach out first and let us tell you no. Like just give it a shot because you never know. You never know. You may think that there's no way I can buy a house. And then you talk to us and you realize, wow, I really can. Or I don't think I make enough money. Yes, you probably do. You probably do. The other thing is making sure that you have good job history. So if you do own your own business, there is a certain paper trail that we need to see. If you don't own your own business and you work a W-2 job, as long as you've been there for a certain amount of time, that you have good work history over the course of the last couple of years, and most people do. Those are all things that kind of will ensure that you're able to get a home. And so don't let shaky credit deter you from reaching out because you never know. And the rental market is pretty crazy right now too. So you might as well take a shot at trying to buy it because you could be surprised.
Yeah, it's just the rental.
Yeah.
Me personally, like, I rent now.
Right.
And my next step is buying a home. Like, I can't do that no more. Like, if I'm paying this much for rent, like, I might as well just go get my own.
Right.
And a lot of people are like really don't. They think like that, but they really don't pursue that because it's just like they've heard so much bad things about wanting to purchase a home. Like it's just like, all right, man, I'm just gonna rent. And like really credit don't matter. I'm just like,
Yeah. And you know, for me, I try to make the process as fluid as I can for my clients. But I don't want to make the mistake of saying that it's easy, because it's not always easy. But, you know, one of my favorite speeches came from JFK back in the 60s, where he went to visit Rice University, and he was trying to garner support for going to the moon, because it had never been done before. And during the speech, he says, why does Rice play Texas? The reason it's significant, right, is because Rice always plays Texas in football, and generally they lose by a lot of points, right? And so, you know, he says it and everybody starts laughing. And so, you know, we shouldn't go into any endeavor looking for it to be easy. Because if it was easy, then anybody could do it, right? We go in looking for a challenge and knowing that when we come out on the other side, it's going to be better than it was when we went in. And so, yeah, I'm happy to help anyone, and we can just see where we get. It's a beautiful process. You know, when people get approved and we're able to start looking at houses, and you know, the kids start running through the house and claiming rooms and things like that, it just really makes the process so very sweet. And watching couples interact and debate, you know, I like this part of the house, I don't like that part of the house. And then so that's for my clients, and for me, I love the negotiation piece. I really do. I love the ability to kind of advocate for my clients and get them what it is they need so they can get home with their dreams. And so it's been a really great experience the last year. Been in this business and helping so many people and families obtain the dream of home ownership. It's been definitely one of the highlights of my life, and one of the best decisions I think I've ever made.
yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
You gave a lot of insight. Hope y'all out there listening too. Already. So it's both y'all like, I'm gonna say in the political field, but we know what you do and what you're trying to do.
Right.
So how are you engaged? Like, what is your title like?
So yeah, I'm on the city council, and one of the main things that I have focused on since I've been there has been this concept and this idea of equity and what that looks like in Lexington. That no matter where you live, whether you live in Grimes Park, whether you live on Young Drive, whether you live off of Martin Luther King, whether you live on Country Club Drive, that we can all have the same access to resources, access to employees, access to employment, that no matter what you look like, right, that I have the opportunity to go to City Hall and get a job. No matter what you look like, if there's a dead possum in my room, as I got the call earlier, they're gonna come pick that up as soon as you call it in, right? That if you have a street light going out, that no matter where you live, we're going to give the same attention to the same customer, and as if they're living in the same neighborhood every time. And so that for me has been the biggest, I guess the biggest thing that I've advocated for since I've been there. This concept of equity and what that looked like, that Lexington can be a desirable place for anybody, no matter your race, no matter your nationality, no matter your gender, no matter your sexual orientation, that you have a place to fit in our community. And so that's pretty much it. And that is applicable to so many different varieties of our neighborhood, that if you want to patronize a business, if you want to patronize a facility, that you don't have to worry about being discriminated against because you have a chain, or because you have dreads, or because you have a different type of skin texture or skin tone, or because you decide to love whoever. Like I want everybody to have the same experience that I had in Lexington, and I had a great experience. It's been awesome, man. My family is here. My mom is here. My aunts and uncles and cousins and friends are here, and I want people to come here and feel like they're wanted here in our community. And so that's been for me the biggest thing that I've advocated for since I've been there. Whether that is getting people to slow down and just speeding on Pew Street, right? Oh man!
Joe, like as far as like, we know you're running for house and everything like that, so people really don't understand like the importance of voting, like how much it can affect like their daily living. Cause you know we just go through life like, okay, it is what it is. It ain't like our voice don't matter. So telling people like how much like their voice do matter, like, cause at the end of the day, like we really living like, man, our voice don't matter. We just finna go ahead. They gonna choose what they gonna choose anyway.
Yeah, I always use this scenario of there's 300 million people in the United States. If the government need to raise $300 million, they only tax you $1. That gives you 300 million. So it's spread out amongst 300 million people. But what if the city of Lexington, with only 20,000 people, needed to raise that amount of money? Could you imagine how much they have to tax you? Just to get, I couldn't use 300 million because we'll probably never get it. You can use 100 million. If we don't get out and vote in the local elections, they mean more to your pockets than any other election. And that's why we have to be very, very, thorough in going out to these local elections. Most people only vote in the national elections, president. True. That's what most people vote in. But what matters the most is what happens in your own community. That's why it's so important to vote. That's why you have so many issues in the small communities. It's because people don't take part in the elections that take place. And if we take part in those, we'll have more control over what happens in the local community. And that is hook, line, and sinker in local voting.
So, more of the story, y'all get out and vote.
Get out and vote
for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
81
for house.
Yeah.
House 81.
We ain't gonna do none of that. Get him in. Cause like, and I ain't saying this just cause you won't hear. It's just like with me knowing you, like I know for a fact, like you are what you speak. Like anything you say, like especially to me, like it's just been straight 100. So it's just like you somebody we can trust. So therefore, you already got to vote.
And I've known Joe for a long time, and more intimately here in the last few years.
Yeah.
And now that I have a daughter, I always say when I meet anybody, I say, man, would I be comfortable with this person marrying my daughter? Like, is this somebody that I want my child to be with one day?
Oh, I'm telling you.
And Joe is a man of great courage. He is a man with a very strong faith in God, integrity. He is a man that loves his God. He loves his family. He loves his church. He loves his community, and he loves people. And I am proud of him. Life is a process, right? And what gives everyone meaning is building on the previous foundation and making every day better than the last. And Joe has done that. Joe has built a business, a legacy. It didn't always start that way for him, but his life has been a work in progress, and his story is the American dream. That I can start with nothing, and brick by brick, layer by layer, piece by piece, day by day, I can create a better future for my grandchildren than I have for myself. And Joe's done that.
Yeah, and he passed on knowledge. Like,
yeah.
it ain't like other people, like you run into, they'll want, like some people charge you for what they know, like, but Joe, he'll look out, he'll help you, he'll instill like knowledge in you, like,
and
that's dope.
Some things that I know that Joe's done. He doesn't look for anything in return. You won't even know that he did it. But he did it, and he has supported financially so many different organizations within our community. Has a heart of gold. I mean, Joe is your definition of a servant, a community servant, a people servant. And it's been a blessing for me to know him. Me and my wife have been on vacation with him, his wife, and been to each other's homes. We share family. Our families are very close now, and I'm just happy to serve with him. I remember when I found out that Joe was running for city council, I'm like, man, we can do this. We can do this. And through that process, it's been a beautiful friendship. We've worshiped together in church several times. I've been to his and he's been to mine. And vote for Joe. Vote. The moral of the story, vote for Joe.
So, like, even with that, like, me personally, like, I knew you, like, I didn't know you growing up, but I seen you growing up. I'm like older,
Right?
But it's just like, even though I seen you transition, and it's just like the way you carried yourself. Like, even though I never said nothing personally, it's just like, man, the way you carried yourself is the way a lot of people need to carry themselves. Like,
I appreciate that.
And everything you accomplished, like, I'm like proud of you. Like, even when like the march I heard you speak, I'm just like, yo, like I couldn't even believe it was you. I'm just like, man, like for real, just like, man, I'm proud of this dude. Like, I'm just looking at you like, this is dope. Like, man, look, I hope he reach all the heights he trying to reach. Like,
I appreciate that, man.
and
I'll tell you, man, God has been good. And obviously he gets all the credit and the glory, you know. We were talking about it off camera, but, you know, or I think Joe did talk about it on camera. I've always just been very nervous about public speaking, nervous about this. but you know, when you feel led to do something, you know, it's a different type of power that intervenes itself in your life, and I've just been very blessed and fortunate to be called to do a lot of different things, and like I said earlier, I just think that it's my responsibility to give back to the community, to the place that I'm passionate about, that gave so much to me. So it's been an honor. It really has.
I knew these cats from. I remember bands used to run around in the new project.
yeah,
Garrett used to come to the house.
I did.
Come eat.
Yes.
What Tara cooking today?
Yeah. Monty.
So I remember these cats from yay high, man. And you always look at them like, man, these two intelligent young black men that didn't give up on what they were trying to do. That was the whole thing. They never gave up, and they kept fighting. And actually, when I see stuff like that, like I said, I learn from everybody. I learn from these two dudes all the time. I learn from y'all. So y'all keep going. The more y'all go, the more I go.
Yeah.
So I appreciate what y'all said to me. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate y'all. So y'all just keep pushing, man.
it doesn't. Man, I wish we can go on speaking, talking, because at the end of the day, like, these two dudes right here, they are pillars in our community, and we need to invest more of our resources into them. Like, we need to vote for whatever they got going. Like, I put my trust in them, and y'all know I don't trust nobody. Real talk, like, I put my trust in them. Like, at the end of the day, like, y'all already like heard, like, we can actually bring stuff down here. It's certain steps we have to take, but it's possible for us to bring more stuff down here. Like, just invest into the community. Like, that's all we need to do. But I appreciate both you guys for coming, and it's time to wrap it up.
We're gonna keep scrubbing to the top.
You already know. We already heard what he said. We're gonna keep scrambling to the top. Hey,
Scrubbing to the top.
you already know, man. We out of here. One.
Scram'N to the top. It's Garrett Holloway, Lexington City Council, Ward 5, Realtor at the District Group. Happy to be here.
Scrubbing to the top. Joe Watkins, North Carolina House District 81, and the current Lexington City Council at large. We're ready to get it in.